how to know if you really like someone or if you just like the attention. Knowing the difference between liking and wanting the attention of somebody. Hello, welcome back to the channel where all videos are about inspirational and motivational things to help change your ways of life and get you to become the best versions of yourself. I'm your host, Amelia Grace, and today I'm joined with Sarah.
Hello.
We're going to be talking about our experiences with this first-hand stuff because we've gone through it too, it's not just you.
We will also be talking a bit of once you're in the relationship, like what to do.
So without further ado, these are the topics for today's video. Let's get into it. Before diving into the whole video on how to figure it out, we first have to talk about the difference between liking somebody and attention and what these two things mean. Because more often than not, we all get really confused between the two and we end up questioning our feelings towards another person, and our vision is very clouded towards these people. So we're going to talk about those. So liking somebody means that you have certain intentions for somebody. So like you might want to date to marry at that time. Is that person that you're talking to or into like aligned with you wanting to date to marry them? Or if you're in a situation where you just want to date right now, is that person aligned with that? And liking somebody means that you have intentions to be like deeply connected with this person, you know, share your deepest things. Attention means that you take notice in somebody else, or vice versa when somebody takes notice in you. There's no depth to that. That's literally it. It clouds our judgment, and then therefore we get very confused on whether or not we really like them or if it's the attention.
Yeah, it does get really confusing sometimes because they're providing you with exactly what you want, attention-wise. So you think that that's exactly what you want in a partner.
Yeah.
And it actually can get serious, and you're like, wait, this is all just a delusion.
It's like the rose-tinted glasses vibes.
Yes.
Yeah. You see this person and they're like on a pedestal, they're perfect because they're giving you attention.
I know.
And then they go away and you're like, what?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Now we need to talk about why you crave that attention in the first place, to put a halt to those destructive and desperate measures that you go to. It's a totally natural thing to want like validation and approval from somebody. However, needing attention constantly suggests that you can't act or do anything without that in the first place. There may be a few root causes as to why you're constantly needing attention. It could be stuff like low self-esteem. Having an absent father physically or emotionally is a great deal for women, like daddy issues.
Yeah.
Also, lack of validation and approval from other people when you were a kid. A lot of the stuff that you've had to deal with and having to deal with now stems from when you were a kid, and like how your parents treated you, how your livelihood at home was like.
Yeah.
So if you have an issue with constantly needing male approval, go back into your childhood and reflect on what kind of dynamic did you have with your parents, with your dad especially, and how this affects you now in your dating life.
I feel like a lot of it comes down to your self-worth. And when you don't have much validation from other people, you seek it in the wrong areas.
Yeah.
And a lot of it tends to be partners and people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just trying to fill a void of loneliness. And it's deep, but it's true.
Yeah.
And you do things that you later regret once you've self-reflected and things like that.
Those moments like later on and you like reflect on something and it like, I can't believe I did that. And
Yeah.
it like makes your body like twitch. I've had so many of those. They are the worst things. Yeah, they're the worst things to exist.
And then I was like, well, this is worthless because it doesn't work. It was like a high at the start. It was like, oh my god, like I'm actually getting, like, people are actually interested in me. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god. And then after a while, it's just like, well, now you just want me for my body, and like that's what everyone was doing. So
Hole
it's just,
in a bucket.
yeah. When you do these things, it can impair your critical thinking, and you really have to think about, are you actually attracted and like him specifically, or are you just trying to fill the void of loneliness?
Like, would you still want to be with him if you had other sources of attention?
Yeah.
And that's like a big light bulb moment. You know, for a lot of people, it might be the first time you're getting attention. It might be the first guy who's like being really nice to you because all the other ones have been really bad.
Yeah.
And And just because this one is really nice to you does not ever mean that he's the best one for you.
Yeah.
You know?
So you do just need to reflect on yourself and whether the dude that you're talking to or getting attention from, whether you want him to just keep giving attention and just make you happy, or are you wanting him to like live beside you and help you lift you up other than just giving you attention. And a lot of the time, if you can imagine yourself going after another person, the dude that you're wanting at that exact moment probably isn't meant for you.
Okay, so now we're in story time. It's like the best part of the episodes. So for me in the past, I've had a great deal of like liking someone so much with like the rose tinted glasses because they're giving me attention. I put this person on like a great pedestal, and I think of this person as like the best to exist. They're the perfect match for me. You know, like they're amazing. And a lot of the times it's just because they're giving me attention. And then when they back off and stop giving me that attention, my glasses are like still on. I still see this person as like the best thing to exist. And I try and like repair that. I try and get the attention back, right? And then I would crave that attention. So it took me a really long time to like take off the glasses and actually see that this person was nowhere near to what I actually needed in a partner. And then I would realize I was basing my feelings off of attention. And as soon as they stopped giving it to me, I would reach and beg for it back. Because I desperately wanted to feel loved. I wanted to date, to marry. And then because prior to my current relationship now, I had never gotten the love that I knew I deserved and that I knew I could get. So because I was in that lack of mindset, I would go for literally anything that came across my path to like fulfill that void like we just spoke about. And I had an issue of constantly going and dating people who were not fit for me because I needed that attention. So I didn't really like those people. It wasn't genuine.
They're kind of just like holding the spot.
Yeah.
I don't really have many stories about me dating someone just for the attention. I would go out of my way to get attention from dudes and kind of make it seem like I liked them. I know that they didn't like me though. It was clearly a two-way present, like so obvious, but I was fine with it because I did just want the attention. And then when dudes would come along, I would just be like, yep, you know, like give like myself to them, not emotionally though. That was bad because with you were like, you would actually think that you were really into this person, whereas I wasn't. I was just really I knew that it was attention most of the time, or me just trying to get over someone else. When people for me, when they don't give me attention and I do just like the attention, I completely go away. Like,
Really?
I lose it, And I'm like, okay. And then if they come back and give me attention, then I'm like, okay, well that's what I wanted from you. So then you're doing the right thing. But if they stop, I'm gonna be a little sad. But I don't really
end of the world.
I don't get it. I would always go out of my way to fill my void with just attention because I wasn't getting myself happiness. So I was getting it from other people complimenting me or saying things like that. When it was so just emotionless though, but like it was not a good era.
I remember learning recently, it was in 101 Essays that will change the way you think. I love that book. That literally shaped me as the person that I am. But in that book at the very end, it said, whatever you look for people to give to you, say to you, help you out with whatever actions, it's because you are not giving it to yourself. So if you're looking for a man to come and save you when you're sad, a man or somebody else to fill the void of love, to take you out on dates, to put rose petals in your bath, it's because you are not giving it to yourself. So give those things to yourself first, and then therefore when you go for men or anybody that you're interested in, you're not going to feel like you're filling a void. Because if you're filling a void, it's still going to be empty because the other person's doing it for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, when I get X, I'll be happy, which is never, ever going to be true. And it's the same thing with people.
When you are so caught up in the attention, you need to focus on yourself and make sure you're fine, because when they are filling that void, when they go away and stop giving you the attention, you
It's
just
gonna come back.
Yeah, well, that, like, you just want to want more, but oh wait,
Like the void is gonna come back.
the void,
Yeah.
it's gonna come back. Yeah, and then you're just gonna keep trying to find other people. So you need to be okay with yourself, and then attention's fine. Like, attention's fine. Wanting attention is okay, but when you're just wanting the attention to make you happy is when it's not.
The big $1 million question, the burning question, is how do you know?
It can be really hard.
It's so challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're so caught up in the person.
Yeah.
I've had that so many times. I was so caught up in them,
Yeah.
and it became so much harder to like critical think because my vision's so clouded.
Yeah.
I'm like, so a lot of the questions revolve around self-evaluation, but we've also got some action steps for you to be able to do so that you can figure it out and get to the bottom of it. So we're going to reflect on your actions and your behaviors and ask yourself, do you get really excited for like the next date, the next hangout, seeing them at school or uni or work or whatever? Or are you just excited when they give you the attention?
Another thing to reflect on is whether you're interested in his actual well-being and you're not just trying to tell him all about yourself. Like, you actually genuinely care
And you're like a listener.
yeah, and how he's doing. Although there are some people that are just really empathetic and sympathetic and do care about people, but I guess you would care more
If you were like genuinely
Yeah.
interested in this person and saw like a future. So if you really like someone and if you're communicating with them and interested in their well-being, then it's genuine. You genuinely want to make progress. Do you find yourself wanting to always talk to him, or do you only want to talk to him when he gives you that attention and when he initiates it?
So you need to evaluate your motivations. So when someone else is giving you the attention, are you feeling the same excitement and happiness
Yeah.
as the other person that you think that you actually like?
Your motivations definitely reflect on how you feel about that person.
Yeah.
So if you are really into them, then you're motivated to get to know them more. You're motivated to ask them out on a date, to become closer with that person. Analyzing your actions and reactions take a big part in this. So if you are jealous when he talks to another girl or tells you about some other past relationship or anything else that revolves around another romantic partner, do you get jealous about that? Or do you just brush it off like, oh, no worries? That could also, brushing it off could also come into you're not insecure about yourself. But if you know that you're insecure about these things and that you tend to get jealous, then just brushing it off is a big sign that you are just liking the attention. Also think about, are you worried about losing him or losing the attention that he is giving you?
Yeah.
Those are key things.
Also losing like what you have with him, or is it him specifically?
Yeah, like him.
His presence in your life. Like, you want him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In relationships, you have to make sacrifices and compromises. Being married, being in a long-term relationship is never easy. My mum says that being married and having kids are the two hardest things that you will ever go through in your life. So know that if you're into somebody, you have to make those sacrifices to be with them. If you're dating to marry, know that this person has to be the person that you don't walk away from when things get hard. Are you willing to sacrifice things for this person that you're into? Or are you just wanting to be engaged with them when it benefits you? Because if it's when it benefits you, then your actions and your motivations are not aligned for liking somebody. It's more aligned with you like the attention. It's not genuine attraction to somebody.
Getting an outsider's perspective, like your friends, is so helpful because you are seeing this person through the rose-colored glasses
Pedestal.
and you think so highly of this person, but your friends don't really think that way of him. And when you ask them, and then yes, they don't see all of what he's giving you, because sometimes, you know, it's behind closed doors. They don't know everything that goes on in a relationship. But if they really don't like them, then it's a good sign to rethink it. When you imagine your future, are you imagining him with you in your future, or are you just imagining you being with somebody?
I always did it with my relationships, and I remember each one that I was in, the future would be so different.
Yeah.
So I have my dream future that I see, and I am always making sure that who I'm with aligns with that, because I'm not gonna change my actions, my future for somebody else ever.
Yeah.
My dream future is like, you know, I am a business owner. I've got so many businesses. I am living lavishly because I worked hard for it. But there were times when I was in relationships where this person would not be happy with that future of what I envisioned. And they would be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, so you have to stay home with the kids. And like, I'm personally okay with that, but the way that they said it and demanded and expected that I did that was not it.
Yeah.
So I always ensure that I envision a future with anybody that I'm interested in before I start dating them. But a lot of the times I would get very like clouded with my memories, and anybody that I was talking to, like I said in my story time, I would be obsessed with them, right? But I would just place that person in my future, you know? Like I would pick them up, put them in my future, be like, yeah, that's the right one for me. No, this person is nowhere near. And it took me to take off those rose-tinted glasses to realize that person is not fit for me or my future that I see for myself at all.
So now we've got the practical steps for you to do, and a major one is take a step out of yourself and just look
bird's eye view at the whole situation.
Just,
like
from like an outsider, like how your friends would see it per se.
Yeah.
But you know everything that's gone down.
Journal about it, you know, like reflect on your past behaviors, write down truthfully. Does this person listen to you? Do they ask questions about you? Are they interested to spend time with you? Do they make an effort to spend time with you?
Yeah.
And if they don't, then that's attention.
When certain events would happen that I didn't know how to feel about, I would write it down. And then when I wasn't in such like an unstable state, I would look back at it and be like, was I correct in my position?
Yeah, that's a really good thing. I remember reading that there are certain parts in our brain that override our critical thinking. So it's stuff like emotional patterns and thoughts. If you're in an unstable state to evaluate what your situation is, definitely like write it down and say chats, do whatever, and then come back to it.
Yeah.
Because there are a few things, like I cringe over the fact that I did some stuff. Yeah, and it's just like, why did I do that? It like, oh, I should have just stopped. Just stopped.
I know. And I think about it sometimes.
So take the time to journal these things and be so truthfully honest. Like do it in a safe place so that you can feel safe that the person or anybody else is not going to look at this. So it's about really just understanding yourself.
Yeah. And if you're struggling to understand yourself, then get close friends. So just people that are close to you to help you with it.
Okay, but like what if you're already in a relationship and don't know if you like him or if it's the attention? Don't worry, we've got you. So the biggest, most important thing to even get started on this chapter is to be ready to admit it to yourself. And we understand it can be really, really scary to do that, because you might not want to hurt the person that you were with, might not want to feel like you've wasted your own time and theirs by being together for nothing. Let me just say, it's not for nothing. You've learned a lot by being with this person. Everything that happens to you happens for a reason, so it's not for nothing. And those things are quite important to definitely think about, but they're not things that should be the reason why you don't admit to yourself. Because admitting to yourself and allowing yourself to do this will allow you to take charge in your own life, because you should never ever act in somebody else's best interest to change yourself, to change your life, because you are the most important person in your life and you should always prioritize yourself. If you feel like you need to ask yourself the questions that we have just spoken about, please do. It is so important that you reflect and admit to yourself.
A keynote to remember about if you really like them or if it's just the attention is if you can see other romantic feelings with other people, if you're flirting with other people. There is a rule called the 80-20 rule, and basically in a relationship, not all the time, but a lot of the time when people cheat, it's because they're going after the 20%. So the partner that you're with supposedly is supposed to have 80% of what you want, because you very, very rarely can get exactly what you want.
Like be 100%.
Yeah. When people are thinking about what they actually want to be in a relationship, usually they're thinking about the 20%
that person doesn't have. And they like the people that they're thinking about are the 20% that are absent from what you do have.
Yeah, so sometimes people then will leave the relationship with the 80% and go for the 20% because they have what the 80% didn't have, but then realize that
80% is not there, and they're like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah.
I remember hearing like a lot of really wealthy people, a lot of really successful people know to choose your regret. So if you choose to leave 80% for 20%, that regret is exponential. That's going to be huge. And if you leave the 20 to go for an 80, that regret is going to be a lot smaller. We are no experts in relationships, so this isn't like the be all end all. If you think about other people in a relationship, that's actually like normal. But evaluate, are you with an 80% or are you with the 20%?
Yeah.
And you know, in either of those situations, be okay to admit it, and definitely like the questions that we stated in the chapter before still apply. So go through those, journal those, like from an outsider's perspective, step outside of yourself and evaluate.
This 80% in a person, you want it to be the most important things that you want out of a person in a relationship. So a really, really good way to know is to write a list of your standards. Your standards list. A lot of them are far more important than other ones. Like there'd be like emotionally intelligent, which is really high up there, but then there's like funny,
Brown eyes.
So it's like, if they're not that funny, it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
You're not always gonna get what you want, but like if that's really important to you, then it might be. And it also helps manifest them.
Yeah, because you know exactly what you want. Yeah. Standards are a really good way, when you're clear on them, to be able to say no to people who are not deserving by your deeming, like not deserving of your time or your energy, because that stuff is so precious. Like you are here for a limited time, you've got things that you need to do, things that you need to achieve, and spending time with the wrong people just because you want to fill a void of that, you know, lack of validation or any attention that you're wanting to get, having those standards allows you to not go down that path. It was actually really cool because every single time the next person that I would date would have exactly what I wrote down, albeit there would be like 2 things that were different, but like all of the things that I wrote down to like the description of this person would be exactly that. And I remember, it was probably like 4 months before I met MJ, and it was like 4 pages, like 4 whole pages of standards. And I didn't like hold back from this because I got told so much that my standards were too high, nobody's gonna live up to them. And a lot of it came from like that K-drama standard. And I was just like, if I'm not getting that, then it's not worth it. I'm not dating anyone who doesn't give me that, because that was literally the version of love that I needed, right? And I was watching so much of this, and then I met MJ in an art gallery. Every single one of those standards that I wrote down in the 4 pages manifest in MJ. And I am so grateful that I didn't like put anything off because I thought I wouldn't get it. I'm so grateful that I wrote every single thing, like everything, no holding back, because I ended up getting it. So before we end the video, we've got to do the summary and the homework tasks for you girls to do. We spoke about liking someone and the attention of someone and what that means. We spoke about the differences and the causes as to why you're seeking that attention. It could be for male validation, it could be because you lack attention and validation, or lack of self-worth.
Ultimately, it's about understanding your emotions and your motivations.
Yeah.
And also, when you're in a relationship, do you have 80% or 20%? To help with this was the standards list that you will have made for yourself that you can look back on.
Standards.
Yes,
They're the favourites. For the homework, we've got 3 things. So ask yourself the deeper reason as to why you're craving attention, if that resonates with you. So definitely reflect on your childhood and take note of the dynamic that you had in your household, with your mum, with your dad, and how that now resembles in your dating life currently. Journal the questions that we wrote. Make sure it's in a safe place so that nobody else can read it, so that you can be honest with yourself. And go back to the video because we've got the timestamps so that you can rewind, pause it, and write down all of the questions that we said. And the third one is to make the standard list. Do not hold anything back, because who knows, you might get it. It doesn't hurt you to write everything. Thank you so much for watching the whole video, because we know at the end of it, you'll be at least 1% better than what you were yesterday. I am so grateful that everyone is here to watch it. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new, like the video, and if you have any ideas on anything else that you need to hear from us, comment down below all of your thoughts. And I will see you in another video. Bye!
I feel cute and I feel happy. There must be something wrong, 'cause it's been way too long since I feel cute